This is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is the fourth Sunday of the month, which means it's time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Dr. Gustavo Tolosa, also known as the plant-powered pianist. He has written a brand new book called Live Your Healthiest Life. He wrote it with Shada Soleimani, who's going to be on the show tomorrow. And today he's going to be making delicious Argentinian recipes from this book. I'll have a link right below in the chat in the show notes where you can get it, help it be a bestseller anytime a vegan book does well. It's good for everyone. And these recipes are not only unique and delicious, they are also SOS-free. And I think they're probably almost all gluten-free. We'll find out. Dr. Tolosa lives in Argentina, but he came all the way to the Sacramento area to promote the book. And if you're in the area, we're having a big potluck today at noon. I can't post the address, on social media, but if you go to my meetup group, you can find it there and you can meet Gustavo and Shada in person and even get a signed copy of the book. Please welcome him to the show. So do you like being in California, Dr. Gustavo?
Oh, I love California. I lived here 3 years while I was doing my master's degree in music in Southern California, in Orange County. And so it's kind of like coming back home. It's a beautiful place. So, and
Nice.
I miss the place and I miss all my friends here, like you, Shada, Tammy, and many others, Linda.
Well, we've been hanging out all weekend and we're going to see each other again for
Yes.
a wonderful, wonderful plant-based potluck. And this is so cool. I mean, we didn't plan this. Your show really is the fourth Sunday of the month. And so now you get to make the recipe that you're bringing to the potluck. And what are you going to be making?
I know. And so if anybody that's watching this is going to the potluck, they're going to be tasting these recipes that I'm making now. So
that's perfect.
Well, but before I start, let me really quick introduce everybody to my mother here, Raquel, who is also a pianist.
Hello. Yes, we actually streamed part of your conference or that concert last night. You can find it on my Facebook page. The songs that you were able to broadcast without copyright strikes. So if you want to hear them play together, they're fabulous.
Yes. So she helped in quite a few of these recipes because many of these recipes here are from my grandmother, her mom, my grandmother Aurora. You will read the story here of from the day I was born until basically today, and Shada's too. And so a lot of the recipes are recipes that my grandmother used to make for us. My grandmother lived we lived with her, or she lived with us all our lives. So anyway, maybe she'll help me in a little while put together some of these dishes, but thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, have a wonderful day.
Thank you. I'll see you at the potluck, Raquel.
All right. So as AJ said, this is available on Amazon. You just type the title and it comes up, and we would appreciate it. And there is a wonderful bonus, but I'll tell you about it as I'm making these recipes because I want to get started. So on page 164, there is a recipe. Well, actually, it says baked sweet potato desserts. I love sweet potatoes, so I kind of created two of them. And the third one is, which is what I'm making now, my grandmother used to make. And my grandmother was from Spain. And so a lot of these recipes come from Spain and from her mother, my great grandmother. So these are truly traditional recipes. So I call this the sweet potato pineapple apple pie. And let's get started. So this is how it goes. And what I'm going to do, if you please bear with me, just going to move a little bit the camera down so that you can see better. And let me see if I can give you a really good view by lowering the camera. There we go. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So To make this sweet potato pineapple apple pie, you will need some kind of a baking dish. Sometimes my baking dish, since I am not in my kitchen, I usually have a round baking dish, and it needs to be kind of tall because you need layers. It could be square as well. In this case, it's neither, it's oval, but it will work. My dear friend Tammy lent it to me. And what we're going to do is I got some very good pineapples from Trader Joe's, and these are they come in their own juice, so they don't have syrup. And I'm going to cover the bottom of this baking dish with the pineapple slices. These are organic pineapples, and I'm going to, like I said, cover the bottom. I was going to tell you that once you get the book, you email us and we will send you a free PDF. It's a bonus for those of you who purchased the book. And the bonus, it has some of our really good Persian and Argentine recipes, Shada's and mine. And I think you will really enjoy those recipes. To get that bonus, you need to email it to, and maybe AJ can type it, LYHL. That stands for Live Your Healthiest Life. LYHL bonus at yahoo.com, and you will receive the free bonus. Okay, so you see how it's covered it the best way you can. And then I have already baked yams, sweet potatoes. You can use any, really. I really like these. So they are baked, and I'm going to slice them. This would take the place of the, if it was a real pie or a cake, it would be the actual cake. But here we're using, since we're not using any maple syrup or sugar or anything like that, this is the sweetness plus the pineapple. So now I'm going to make my layer of sweet potato. I'll show you in just a minute. I like to use some kind of either cinnamon or apple pie, spice, or pumpkin pie spice. And I like to put sprinkle a little bit of that on this layer when I'm finished with the layer. So this is really easy to put together. It's pretty fast. It's that you have to have your oven preheated at 400. All right, so let's get some of this wonderful pumpkin pie spice. And since I am in an Airbnb, I'm limited. They don't even have measurings. They have measuring cups, but not measuring spoons. So I would say about a teaspoon. I can tell more or less what a teaspoon is. So I'm going to sprinkle. And if you don't like pumpkin spice, pumpkin pie spice, you can use just plain cinnamon or something else. So there we have that. So now that's 2 layers. Okay. Now, the next layer is going to be unsweetened apple sauce. And that's why I call this the sweet potato pineapple apple pie. So I'm just going to cover the sweet potatoes with the apple sauce. It's organic apples, unsweetened. There's plenty of sweetness here with the pineapple and the sweet potatoes. Okay, so now I have, why not put the whole jar? And you can make this enough large a baking dish as you want, or smaller if you prefer. let me tell you, this is so good that it disappears pretty quickly. But it's a great thing to take to a potluck. That's why I'm taking it to the potluck today. Okay, if you have any question, just type them there and maybe AJ can read them to me. Okay, so now comes the next layer, which is going to be, again, sweet potatoes. And you can use other types of sweet potatoes, like you could use Hana, you could use, I don't know, Hawaiian. I mean, you can use purple. You could use other types of sweet potatoes. Maybe the ones that are drier are going to give it a consistency more of a cake than this one that is a little bit softer, but I really like this. Well, this and the Hana sweet potatoes are my favorite. So, okay.
Gustavo,
Yes.
are those sweet potatoes raw or cooked?
No, they're cooked. They've been roasted. They don't have to be, they could be halfway cooked because this is going to go in the oven for an hour at 400. So they're going to cook anyway. Okay, but these are already cooked. Okay. All right, now comes the layer that is optional, but I'm going to do it today. And it is whole dark cherries, okay, organic. And this is sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, because sometimes I don't have them. And I cut them in half, and they don't have pits. So this is going to be so incredibly delicious. I tried one of these, and oh my goodness, they are just, yeah, they're just a dessert in and of itself. Okay, so that is that layer. If you're not using this, you could do another layer of the pineapple. So what I'm going to do one more layer of sweet potatoes, and then I will finish it with the pineapples because I like to have the pineapple slices on top as well. Now, when I do it in my home, when I have all the pots and and baking dishes that I want, I have one that I can then turn over, and then this comes out of the baking dish, and it is like a cake. So, but it's just fine to leave it here and serve it with a serving spoon. Okay, so that is it. I'm going to finish this with some more slices of the pineapple. And then when I put it in the oven, I'm not going to cover it because I do want it to get a little dry, because all of this is going to release juice, and because I want it to brown and get a little bit crusty. And so you get a little bit of crunch and the softness of the sweet potato. Okay, and I will do a little sprinkling of this delicious pumpkin pie spice. So let's see. Isn't that pretty? All right, so that's
beautiful. It looks like something you might serve at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So this is going to the oven, even though there is a lid. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to put this in the oven right now. Okay, so the next recipe is one of my most popular ones, because this baked polenta is truly delicious. I was able to find real polenta, okay? And I made this 2 days ago, and I couldn't find it, and I had cornmeal, and it's similar, but it's not the same. This has a stronger taste. It's not so processed. It holds together So you can actually get, I got this at one of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say where, but you know, it's one of those.
Sure, you're allowed to say.
Okay.
It's
I
not, you
got,
don't.
okay, I got this in Sprouts. Okay. I just could not find it in Whole Foods, although sometimes they do have it in Whole Foods. So the way you do this is 3 cups of dry polenta in 1 cup of polenta takes 3 cups of water. Okay, so 1 of polenta, 3 of water. So what I did, what you want to do is you want to put, if I did 3 cups, so that was 9 cups of water. I put 9 cups of water in this pot. And now a little trick, okay, that some people don't know or don't do. You want to put in the water onion or garlic powder, like a teaspoon. You want to put a tablespoon of Italian seasoning or just oregano. And then I love smoked paprika. I use it so much. So I put about a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half of smoked paprika. You could put other things. You could put, you know, like Miss Dash, you know, about a teaspoon of each. So that's going to even bring out the flavor of the polenta more. So you want to have your water in the pot and you want to boil it. Once it's boiling, so that you can see me here. Once it's boiling, then it's very important to put the polenta very gradually, like just sprinkling. You know, it's possible to do it all with one person, but if you have a helper who can sprinkle it, and with a whisk, you're whisking it constantly. When you start adding the polenta, you want to turn the heat to low, and then you stir it for about 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, it cannot be. Let's see. It can't be watery. It needs to be very creamy. Let me just show you.
It almost looks like grits.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some people call this, I think it is grits actually, but I think this is closer to grits than to the cornmeal that I got the other day. So you see, that's the consistency you want. Not too hard and not too watery. So you want to start, I'm using a glass pan. You could use any kind of pan. This is the only one there is in the house, and it's kind of small, but you'll have to do. So the tomato sauce is the secret. Okay, this is the main secret for the polenta to taste amazing. The tomato sauce is in the book. I'm just kind of I don't know if I remember all the steps and the ingredients, but basically it is tomato. I mean, it is onions, garlic, red or yellow peppers, and tomatoes. And these are no salt added tomatoes, fire roasted if you can get. I do add oregano to this, like a tablespoon. Well, you see the recipe. Okay. And so I'm going to put a thin layer, just to, so that the polenta is not going to get stuck there. Although, I mean, it could be, I haven't tried it, but I'm going to try it. One time I'm going to make it without this step here to see if it gets really crusty at the bottom, and that might actually be good. Okay, so that's a very thin layer of polenta, of tomato sauce. Now comes, let me see if I can get, it's just frustrating when you're not in your own kitchen, but it'll work. So I'm going to go like this and make and of course, this is
salt-free, everything. And sometimes I add like a third or a fourth probably of a cup of nutritional yeast to the polenta, but I didn't do that now. So it's just polenta, which like AJ said, is very close to grits. Okay, so now you want to carefully spread it. I just don't want to, you have to be careful that it doesn't get combined with the tomato sauce, because you really want it to have layers and not get all mixed up. Okay, so that's going to be my layer of potatoes. Now, the next layer is what's in my book also, and it's called Gustavo's versatile menjunje, which is a funny word in Spanish. Menjunje is, what do you call it? When you know, in movies, when the witches are making their
Brew, B-R-E-W.
right, like a brew. You know, it's kind of like menjunje is, you know, putting things together, and it's hard to explain because it's almost not a real word. But anyway, my green menjunje is onions, garlic, and mushrooms. And then when I've sauteed that, I add either spinach or Swiss chard. I usually don't use kale for this. I use Swiss chard or spinach. Okay. And that's what I have there. Sometimes I don't have the greens, so it is all a layer of sauteed onions, garlic, and mushrooms. If you don't like mushrooms, because I always get people who say, I don't like mushrooms. Well, then you can substitute with eggplant, you know, cut up. So here comes the layer of my green menjunje, which you can see the chunks there of mushrooms, onions, a lot of onion, garlic, and mushrooms. And then I used Swiss chard this time. I just like to use greens as much as possible because we want the nitric oxide that greens produce, like Dr. Esselstyn explains in his videos. We want our arteries to be healthy, and the nitric oxide is this miracle component that heals the endothelium. So I'm going to go generous with this. So I have done it without greens. The other night, actually, it didn't have greens. It was onions, garlic, and mushrooms. And it has a few other things like more onion powder, garlic powder, and a little bit of Italian seasoning. Okay, so that's the layer. I can't put too much because this is a small dish. So I'm going to add just a little bit of tomato sauce here. And you can get creative with this. Sometimes I don't add any here because the last layer is going to be a generous amount of that wonderful tomato sauce. So here comes the last layer of the polenta. And sometimes it's so good. It reminds me of the tahdig that Shada has in that bonus PDF that you'll get, which is the Persian crunchy rice that we all were able to try last night at the party that Tammy hosted at her home. And so this can get crunchy like the tadig. It's just that it's not rice, it's polenta. And polenta is really an Italian meal, you know, this is used in Italy. And since Argentina is like 80% Italians, so a lot of the meals are Italian, you know, influence. Okay, very good. So if I had a deeper dish here, I would probably do another layer, but I can't because this is going to boil over and make a mess in the oven. So this is where I'm going to stop. But since I have some more sauce and some of the other green mixture, and if I had a bigger dish, I would do another layer. Okay, and now I will finish it with tomato sauce. And this is where you could also add, if you like to have nutritional yeast for that little bit of cheese flavor. I won't, because if AJ tries this, I don't know if she can have nutritional yeast.
You know, I did eat it. I ate it last night in that delicious Caesar salad, but gosh, the next, it always bothers my stomach. I wish I
Yeah.
did. I love it so much.
Yeah, I have, when I eat it, I have to put very, very little. And
You know, and there's a reason, and there's a doctor that's coming on the show Tuesday who wrote a book about this. It has to do with something called glutamate, and Dr. Catherine Reed is going to address this on Tuesday.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, there has to be a reason. It didn't used to bother me, but in the last few months, I noticed that, okay, so let's see if I can give you a good view. I don't know if it will show. Let's see if it will show the layers here. And it's too dark. I don't think.
I can kind of see them. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So this goes in the oven. And also, I'm not going to cover it because I do want it to get kind of brown, the polenta here, the borders and crisp. So it's going in the oven. And both of these things are going in the oven at 400, and they're going to be there for an hour. And the ideal is that then you will let these two things cool off. Let me go ahead and put it in the oven. You want to let them cool off because the polenta, you can actually cut it, okay? Let me, hold on just a second. I don't mean to move too much the camera, but it's just difficult. Okay. So the polenta, you can, when it cools off, you can actually cut it and in pieces, and then you can see the layers. So it's a really nice, it just looks pretty. And with the sweet potato pie as well, I mean, it'll be soft. We should scoop it up, and you can serve it with some nice, nice cream, okay? Fruit, some kind of a sorbet or something that will go well. So the polenta is on page 10 of this. The first part of the book tells Shada's story and my story. As we tell you our stories of from when we were little to until we came to the United States, we talk about, anecdotes and stories and people that were important or are important in our lives. And so as the book goes with the stories, then there is a recipe. So if I'm talking about how during the winter months, I would come home from school and smell, and my grandmother had made the polenta, okay? And so I tell about a little bit about that, and then polenta is inserted in the story. So there are about 170 recipes in the recipes section,
But in our story section, there are quite a few recipes that are meaningful in the story. Now, I'm going to tell you that the polenta recipe, the original one, has a layer of cheese, which of course we're not using here. And then it is sprinkled on top with some more like Parmesan cheese or something like that. So, but other than, it could be done if nutritional yeast wouldn't bother you and you wanted to put a good amount in the layer that has the mushrooms with the onions. You could put a good amount of nutritional yeast, and that would give it that little more cheesy flavor. So those are the two recipes. I hope that you will try them because they really are not complicated. And like I said, one is on page 10, and the other one that I made with the sweet potato, it's, okay, let me look for it. It's right here. It's on page 164. Okay. Any questions, AJ, that you?
How long does it take? How long are you going to cook these for?
I'm going to, let's see, it's 10:15 here. So an hour for sure. Then I will open the oven and see. Then it's up to each person. If you wanted to see it more, you know, brown on top, just leave it a little longer, but not more than an hour and a half for sure. Okay.
Yeah, because it takes you a half hour because I'm thinking you got to be at the potluck by noon.
Right. So this is going to give me an hour and 15 minutes, and I still have half an hour to get there, and it only takes 20 minutes. So it'll be fine. So it'll be hot and nice to try.
Well, you know, if you want, I mean, you have a little bit of time if you want, you know, you don't have to tell your whole story, but, you know, you kind of told a nice version of your story last night. Would you like to share a little bit of it?
Just a little. But before that, look what I found in New York in December. I went to New York with one of my daughters to, you know, see some shows and stuff. And I went to the famous Juilliard School of Music. And you see?
That's fabulous. Kitchen maestro. That is perfect for you.
It is. I could not, you know, pass it out. So yeah. So yes, like Shada, we grew up. We come from another culture. We did move to the States when we were young, and have lived in the U.S. for most of our lives. But we do have we come from other cultures. Shada from Persian, you know, Iran. I'm from Argentina. So when we changed to a whole food, plant-based, SOS-free way of eating, we didn't want to give up those flavors of our, you know, our family, or those recipes. So I had, throughout the years, so we all know how you can eat very processed foods in America. Now, I think everywhere in the world, in Argentina too, and gain a lot of weight. So when I arrived to the United States in the year 1986, I was pretty, you know, just thin, I guess. And I mean, not thin, but not overweight and not obese. But through the years, with all the wonderful food here and the fast food and everything, I gained 75 pounds. And so it got to the point where I felt that I was dying, literally. I couldn't go up the stairs. I couldn't run. I had panic attacks. I had acid reflux. I had to sleep, you know, sitting up. I couldn't play the piano very well because I would get out of breath. My stomach would sometimes get in the way. So that was in the year, my highest weight was in the year 2012. And that year, or around there, that's when Forks Over Knives was released. I don't know if you remember what year it was, AJ, but
I think it was 2011, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Whenever, just right there when it was released, just by chance, I saw that movie. And and I was moved to tears because I had been looking for a healthier way of eating, and it was just too confusing. Everything that I read and like most of us tried every possible diet under the sun, and nothing really works. You always lose a few pounds and then you gain those back and some more. So very frustrating. But when I saw that movie, I knew that I had found the answer. Now the question was how to make that a reality. So I started researching and I found Dr. McDougall eventually, but it took me about 2 years to find him and then to be able to save money to attend his live-in program that he had at the time in Santa Rosa. Now it's all online. So I attended it in August of 2013, and I knew that I had found the answer, and I left knowing exactly what to do and how to do it and when to do it. Went back to Dallas. I told my mother and my partner that I found the answer and that we were going to eat what I was going to make. And for a whole year, I made all the recipes that Mary McDougall gave us. It was like, this tall when we left the program with hundreds of recipes, and I made them all. And we all just lost weight and improved our health. And that's how it's been since 2013. So I cannot be, I just have to be so grateful to Dr. McDougall. And then after that, I started meeting wonderful people like Chef AJ, like Shada and Lily and Dr. Hans Deal. And well, I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
How did you end up doing the webinars for Dr. McDougall? And you did like over 100 of those, didn't you? Wasn't it like every week for a couple of years?
Yeah,
while you were in Argentina even?
Yeah, no, it was mostly, actually, it was mostly while I was living in Dallas, but I had a very active concert career. So I would go on tour. And so sometimes I had to do, I mean, I did webinars from Italy, from Spain, from Argentina, from Finland, I did webinars wherever I was. It was every Thursday. And I think it was almost 4 years that we did. I mean, there are so many webinars that we did. And it was just by chance. One day I was studying how to do webinars, which in 2013, they were almost unheard of. So the technology wasn't that good. And I asked Dr. McDougall if he would come on for like just, even 3 minutes to a webinar that I was doing for some people that were following the Starch Solution in France. So the webinar was actually in French. And Dr. McDougall said, sure, I'll do it. And I said, just 2 to 3 minutes is okay, because I didn't want to take his valuable time. But he ended up staying the whole thing for an hour. And he said, hey, there's something here that I like. And that is that I'm tired of traveling. And I would love to reach people all over the world from my house. And so he liked the idea. And so the next webinar I did was actually for some Spanish speakers. So I invited him again. So it's funny that the first 2 webinars that we ever did were in other languages. They were in French and in Spanish. After that, he said, well, now let's try some in English. And I'm going to email a small portion of my email list because we're going to test this. And so we did a few like that. And then he was comfortable and happy with how it was going. And he released it to all of his, followers. And that was, it was history. I always felt like I was the most, the luckiest person on the planet, because it was by chance. I just never thought it would go for more than one time. And I've always felt very, very, very lucky person to sit with him every single week and chat with him before and after the webinar and do the webinars. And I learned so much, and we're still good friends, keep in touch, email. It's just that now we're not doing the webinars. Now AJ is doing the webinars, and they are wonderful every Sunday, right?
With Dr. McDougall?
I mean, or Mondays. When is that?
I wish it was every Monday. It's just the first Monday of the month. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, what he does is with Heather every Sunday.
Every Sunday at 5, right?
Yeah. Okay. All
Okay.
right.
All right, wait, I see a few questions. Hold on. There was one on Instagram. I just saw it. This is from Green Running Heart. How do you establish a whole food plant-based diet group and set up a potluck?
Well, AJ, you know more about that than I do.
Okay, well, you don't have one in Argentina yet?
No, but I would like to do one. But I don't know. I've never done it.
Well, Green Heart Running, I don't know where you live, but I can vouch for at least the United States. There's a website called meetup.com. It's completely free to join. It is not free if you become an organizer, but it is not very expensive either. And so every city I've lived in, and there's been 3 in the last 5 years, I became a meetup organizer. You put in certain keywords. For instance, in this city, my group is called Healthy Living in Lincoln with Chef AJ. So if you're available at noon to come to our potluck, you want to go there and get the information, because we can't post a private residence address on social media. And then people that are in Meetup, it notifies them when their interests align. So if your interest is hiking, for example, or cooking or arts and crafts, and I have over 1,200 in my meetup here. And Linda Middlesworth, who runs one called the Sacramento Vegan Meetup Group, she has over 5,000, but she's been doing it for many years. And then you can post events, and you just have to start small. I remember when I had my first one in Sherman Oaks, I wanted to do an SOS-free potluck because people were vegan, but nobody was really a healthy vegan. I got 77 people in my tiny apartment the first time. You don't have to be an organizer. You can just join Meetup for free and see if any of the events interest you. But that's what I did. And Shada had a group for a while in Orange County. Do you have anything like Meetup in Argentina?
I've never even researched it, so I'm going to research it, because people are very interested over there in health, in good health, and in vegan. It's just that this information of whole food, SOS, plant-based vegan is not very well known yet. It's the regular vegan, so they use oil and sometimes more processed foods. So I'm going to research it, because it would be fun to do it. So AJ, I was going to mention that since we don't have the time in the show to show people the final product, then at the potluck I'll take pictures and I'll make a video, and I don't know if there's anywhere that you can post if you want.
I could just add it to the channel and say, hey, if you want to see him making the recipe, go here. Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, so just so that they can see how it looks, and I can cut it and put it in a plate. Yeah,
nice. Of all the webinars you did with Dr. McDougall, is there one that stands out in your mind as the most memorable?
Yes, I was so lucky also again to be able to do 2 webinars at his house. And so for me, it was like going to this temple of health. And so I rode with him in his car and drove to his beautiful home in Santa Rosa, which most of you or all of you know that it was burned down completely. And that's one reason they moved from there. But those 2 webinars that we did at his home, and he showed me his garden, and I saw the things that they had in the kitchen, and those 2 stand out. And I think, yeah, they're still there in my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Gustavo Tolosa, or Plantemus, which is PLANT for plant, EMUS. You can find them there. And another one that stands out is the webinar that we did in Hawaii. I went with the McDougalls and a group to the McDougall's Adventures. I think it was the last one. And so we did one there, sitting at this beautiful restaurant with a window to the sea and stuff. And those stand out as some of the fun webinars. But They were all, I mean, and you know, because you interview him, you know, it's this fountain of knowledge, and you just could just hear him. You could just listen to him for hours and hours. Yeah,
He's the best. Yep.
he really is.
Okay, let me just check real quick, make sure nobody has any more questions for you, and then I'll let you finish your dish. And guys, if you live anywhere near the Sacramento area, come on, you can taste it. This is like a chance in a lifetime. You actually can watch the show and taste the dish. I mean, you don't get
Yes.
that combination very often.
No.
Did Dr. McDougall put Gustavo in a tent in your backyard? He said he was going to. Did he ever say that, Gustavo?
I don't remember him saying that.
That's funny.
It could have been at one point we were, doing so many events and things together, but I don't remember. Yeah,
Too funny.
he is. I mean, he has this really sometimes dry sense of humor, but he is funny.
That is funny.
And as you know, he is one of the sweetest, most caring people. It's just that sometimes he would come across as just very, upfront there and says what he thinks, and but he's a very, very nice man. And of course, Mary.
Yeah, Mary's birthday is Tuesday.
Yeah, that's great.
And his birthday's next month. Okay. Well, I'll see you in about 90 minutes, my friend. And I can't wait to try the polenta and the pie.
Very good. And thank you for letting us show this. And thank you, because people may not know here that Chef AJ also hosted a beautiful party at her home on Friday night. And thank you. That was
that was wonderful. And then Tammy hosted last night where you did a concert, and that's on my Facebook page. This book is wonderful and the recipes are amazing, and you can get it right at the link below. So thank you, Gustavo, and thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back for more recipes from Live Your Healthiest Life tomorrow, and this time they'll be done by